So in this film, we're going to be looking at using a location, likes of Airbnb or even a hotel suite, for your boudoir photography. I've had several requests with some of the mentoring that I've been doing recently about exactly this. So I thought we'd kind of put a quick guide together. We need to kind of really look at a shoot, which we'll get to now in a minute. But the first things that I'm going to be covering post the shoot is kind of looking at the things that I think about before I actually go on location to actually do the shoot itself, whether it's for a model, a workshop, or even clients, and the areas I'm going to be using to photograph during those kind of things. Oh, obviously, it kind of goes without saying, I hope, the bedroom, the windows, the lounge, and kind of the bathroom. We'll kind of talk about those a little bit. So the kind of images we're going to explore is obviously using the window, as I was saying to you, maximizing the natural light. And in fact, this whole shoot I chose, this location shoot, is all natural light. In fact, there's no flash at all. So kind of just using it to kind of create the dynamic. Looking at ideas for kind of getting some beautiful kind of romantic light, so kind of flaring off the lens or shooting through things to actually get some variety. And then obviously kind of moving on to the bed, the kind of the workflow on the bed, making sure you've got good expressions and variety, and kind of ending up with a bit of fun. And just actually remembering that for a client, it's an experience. When we're photographing with models and workshops, it's slightly different, but it's still an experience for them, and the models have really got to enjoy themselves as well. But again, when it's a client, they're really kind of nervous and everything else with it, and basically going into a shoot is going to be something that we need to make sure at the end of the shoot they're going away and they're feeling like a superpower has come over them and things. So the first thing I would say is that if you're looking to rent the likes of an Airbnb, a cottage, hotel, or whatever it would be, is I would actually say, is it okay if we're filming or shooting or whatever you're doing, get that permission, especially in this world of Airbnb. They're great locations now. Or rental cottages or rooms, but just the owners really need to know that you're going to be shooting there and things really. And I would say that if you're breaking into the world of kind of using locations for your boudoir photography, then the likes of an Airbnb is a perfect kind of option, because you can rent it for the day and into the next day. And you might even find that to rent an Airbnb for 2 days, you might be able to actually shoot the likes of 3, 5, 6 clients kind of actually during that time. But once I've kind of found the location, you'll usually find, whether it's something in my metabolism or whatever it is, but I kind of use that same location time and time again till I get bored, and then I basically find somewhere else if I can. The first thing for me is once it's booked, I've got to make sure before the booking is paid that it's going to be cleaned, it's going to be available from a time, and there's parking on location as well. That's absolutely essential, because most of my clients will be traveling there. I've also got to think about the kind of the style. So if I'm shooting for me, I need to prep the shoot for me. If I'm shooting for a client, I need to prep the shoot for the client. So even if I'm shooting for me, I like actually the models to know what I'm going to be doing during the course of the shoot, especially if we're kind of doing things for academy or for books or whatever it be. They know what it's going to be. So we kind of share some kind of Pinterest board ideas or a gallery. For a client, it's different, because they have no idea, and so I kind of break down the shoot into 3 kind of different sections as well. But that would be whether it's in studio or on location, but the styles will be predicted by the type of location that you're going to rent and things. As far as lighting's concerned, I would usually encourage you to opt for the likes of natural light first. Makes it very, very quick. But of course, if you're having to shoot in winter months, in dark months here in UK, you've got to obviously opt for some flash. And even on a summer's day, if you have a bad day outside, I don't want to be shooting at 1600 ISO at 2.8 just so I can keep the shutter speed high and things really. So again, I might have to actually bring some flash, and I'll always carry studio flash or at least speed light flash within the kind of the kit bag as well with it. But the lighting I'm going to use, I tend to actually use a small softbox and then basically a hard light source like a honeycomb for separation light and so on. I'll always carry a reflector because obviously if I'm photographing slightly further away from a window, I need to obviously kind of bounce some of that light back into the room perhaps. My flow is key. Obviously, with all the experience that I've got in boudoir photography, I don't really need to prep for a lot of the flow, but it's also good if your client or model is new to boudoir photography, like Tatiana, who we just saw. She'd never shot boudoir before. And basically, I can just give them an idea of what we're going to be doing. So there's a comfort kind of within them. And if you've got an app on your phone, remember on the Academy, you can download the apps that we've got for the posing guides and so on with it, and the posing flow for your usage. I like to take some white sheets along, specifically because I'm going to be shooting a lot of white sheet stuff. So I like to actually take my own because they're going to be cleaned and they're ironed and kind of going to be good for it to actually be doing in the shoot rather than neatly pressed kind of bedding that we're going to have in the kind of location. But if I'm going to do 3 or 4 different models in the same room during a day, I will take clean sheets for each one of those. That goes without saying. I like to take some tulle as well. That's good to actually cover, disguise both scene and actually body. So I'll always kind of carry a bag of netting tulle, the white tulle as it were, and I also carry a bag of black. And then if there's any props, so if we're doing kind of faceless images, I usually take along some masks. I'll usually carry along with my feather collars and a few little kind of very short tutus as well. That's good for actually tummies and kind of hiding kind of implied nude or something like that. And then, I know it sounds daft, but if we're going to go into a hotel, there's usually bath bubbles there, so that's okay. But in an Airbnb, there's not always bath bubbles. So I always take bath bubbles along, nice smelly ones, you know, expensive ones as well, so it kind of feels good. And usually you're going to get towels within the Airbnb. If you are going to use the likes of Airbnb or a hotel, then remember you might need to have extra towels supplied, and you should tell or ask for them and be prepared to pay for them as well. Don't forget refreshments, bottles of water will obviously kind of keep the energy going as well with it, and hydration is good, of course, both you and client. 4 locations. Bedroom. What you're going to use in the bedroom, it's just not the bed. It is the wardrobes, the floor, the sofa, the kind of the tables, the lamps in the bedroom, the side tables and things really. All of those things I want to use within the shoot. And that's the great thing about moving from outside of a studio environment to somewhere else, is that kind of, it's good to have a change and things. So within the bedroom, it's usually great to actually utilize any of the natural light that is within the scene. And of course, it's so easy to custom light or custom color balance light. Or if you shoot a lot of black and white like me, you don't really have to worry about the color light, the lighting. But if I am going to shoot under the likes of mixed lighting and tungsten, I'll usually shoot a kind of a grey card as well and things. Windows is always my favorite lighting, no matter what. I'm sorry to bore you all to death with that, but I just love the natural light coming through. So I'll always opt for natural light before a reflector, then I'll use a reflector, and then as a last resort, I'll use flash and things. And that just kind of allows me to kind of work quickly and flow and everything else. But as I already touched on, in winter months or dark days, or even towards the end of the day, I'm probably going to have to use some supplementary lighting. Even though I've carried LED lights with me in the past, again, I tend to actually opt for studio or kind of speedlight flash, just because I like the output level. And TTL speedlight is great. I'm not a fan of TTL, but when you're working in a room environment, you're trying to shoot wide open and use some of the tungsten lighting within the room. It's a quick way for you to basically minimize the flash kind of coming out of the speed light itself, instead of a big whack of power coming out of studio flash. If there's a lounge area as well, I treat it as a set, and you might even have a chaise or a sofa near a window. I will actually try and designate the bedroom as bed, and all the side units and wardrobes and so on. The lounge would be the sofa, the chaise, or whatever it is in that vicinity, even if it's mixing in with the windows at times. But to make sure I'm using and utilising those things, not only to sit on, but also to pose across, like laying down or kind of popping the feet up onto and so on with it. And let's not forget, if you've got the use of a bathroom within the location as well, and the client likes the idea of it, then you've obviously got some kind of great use of it as well. And if you know you want to be photographing some bathroom stuff as a part of your styling, make sure you're choosing an Airbnb with a funky bathroom as well, and make sure you're seeing images and anything that's changed. One big tip though as well, I would always encourage you, especially if you're working in Airbnb, to take clean robes with you, so that the client can change in the bathroom if there is no other place to actually change to, and then they can come through to us before they come into the shoot, and then they can pop their robe back on again before they go off and get changed and so on. The only kind of negative to do with Airbnb and hotels is that if you've got multiple shoots going on in a day, obviously the crossover effect, so you do need to leave that little bit of time distance away from each other, so that you haven't got kind of clients stacked with nowhere to actually kind of be, as it were. So let's look at Tatiana's shoot. It's in an old house that we rented, and basically we did a shout out in their community for anybody who'd like a boudoir shoot, and she didn't model or anything else. She was a dancer, a local dancer, and in fact I think she worked in a bank, and basically she did dancing on the side, some Brazilian dancing and things, and she applied and everything else with it and things really. So this is the kind of the first time, and it was a part of a workshop, so if there was a little bit of nerves from a client or a would-be model, you know, having not just me but also possibly 5, 6 or more kind of delegates there as well, that can be a little bit more nerve-wracking. Now, I suppose it's a bit strange because I go straight to a window before I do to the bed in the boudoir photography on location, whereas I'm working in studio, I usually kind of opt straight for a window as a kind of a semi kind of back shot and everything else with it before I move on to the bed. But if I've only got a bedroom set in the studio set up, in other words, I haven't got the highlight with the netting, you've seen me use that loads. But if I've only got the bed in situ with it, then all I've got is that as the prop, and then a wall or whatever it would be and things. So for this image, to get the shot, obviously just pose in the body. Usually I'd turn the body slightly towards camera position and then away. So in other words, in an anti-clockwise rotation, if we look at her now, that will basically add more shadowing into the image. But direct light, or light coming in from, say, here at the 8 o'clock position. So the subject's in the middle of the dial of the clock, if you imagine. I'm at the 6 o'clock, and the lighting is coming from the 8 to the 9 o'clock position. When it's slightly flatter to the body, because the body is turned towards the light, it gives a natural smoothness to the body skin as well with it, especially with young, fit skin. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way at all, but basically, you know, the older the skin or the more work to the skin, we need to actually diffuse that skin, not only with light, but also possibly with a bit of retouching if the client wants that. So as far as the light, the body's turned in towards the light source, but we're still turning the body slightly away, as you can see. And you can tell that because we've got cleavage coming through shadow, and we've got a shadow actually all around by the abs. We've got shadow coming down in the legs and so on with it. So you can see that the subject is not turned directly into the light source itself. Otherwise, there would be no shadow. And shadow, remember, creates a three-dimensional kind of look and feel to the image. Then I'll basically shift the weight from one foot to another and use the subject's hands to actually kind of just hold and pose and place. So in other words, they can hold the strap, they can hold a knicker line, they can basically hold hair, they can hold the drape, or they can pose it on an arm, a kind of a thigh, up near the kind of the shoulders perhaps as well. If you've seen the technique that I kind of show a lot of clients, it's to use the middle finger slightly kind of indented, and they can run that finger across the body. Then it's not looking like they're trying to grab themselves and things really. So just going from that, and then obviously choosing their different head positions, but then also moving the camera position. And then once I've done that, move the client slightly out of the light more. Remember, if you stand them directly into the window light, the problem with that will be is that you will get a harsher light onto them and a harsher shadow as well. If they use the kind of the peekaboo kind of element where they're just into the shadow of the light, then you tend to actually get a softer light, like we would with a softbox as well. So it's a great way for you to kind of control but manipulate the light at the same time. And a lot of these images, you'll know that I'm kind of through the keyhole style of photography, so they're not looking at me as much as perhaps they will with another photographer. It's a relationship between them and the romance of them and their partner, not between them and the photographer and things. So again, a lot of the images are not going to be acknowledging me as such. This is just moved what was behind the camera position now. So in other words, if I'm stood where the model was here and I'm looking back towards the camera was, this is where this old wardrobe was. And again, now because she's in the light and she's further away from the light, we've got more dramatic shadow coming through. She's deeper into the room, so there's less kind of light being bounced around. And if I wanted to lift in information on her hair or actually on the body, I'd either need to use a reflector or some kind of supplementary light to actually bring the kind of the separation to it. But again, when I've got lovely textures in old furniture or drapes or the likes of character wallpaper or bed heads, I want to really kind of use that light, the light in, crossing the light as it were, to actually create the texture coming through. So she's in fact just opened the wardrobe door just a little bit. It could look like, as we are here, because of the depth of the black, as if she's almost kind of opening a door in fact and going out through it, but this is a wardrobe door. And again, just stepping back here, you can see that with the angle of the light here now, there's all the pooled light onto the floor, and there's basically around about a stop and a half more on the carpet than there is on the face. So be aware of that if you're kind of shooting a lot of full lengths, is because the angle of light will change it.